Welcome to the Smart Keys podcast. If your desk looks anything like mine, you are probably drowning in customer surveys, chat transcripts, social media mentions,
Oh, yeah?
support tickets. It's that classic modern information overload problem.
It is.
So today, we are plunging into sources that promise to solve this, to turn all of that scattered, messy feedback into, well, clear and prioritized action. We're doing a deep dive into the power of voice of customer AI.
And that transformation, it's not just about, being more efficient. It's really a commercial necessity now.
How so?
Well, expectations are just louder than ever, and backlash can spread globally on social media in, minutes?
Right, in an instant.
Exactly.
Right.
So companies just can't afford to rely on these sparse piecemeal surveys anymore.
Yep.
Listening at scale, covering 100% of interactions.
Yeah.
That's the core requirement for just staying stable in the market.
Exactly. So our mission in this deep dive is to really understand how these modern tools operate as a kind of on-call analyst for your organization. This technology covers every single customer conversation, and it can infer satisfaction even where there's no rating a key feature called iCSAT, and it flags those emerging issues before they become a public crisis. We want you focusing on the fixes, not getting lost in spreadsheets.
And we'll lay out that strategic roadmap.
Yeah.
We need to unify feedback, get that crucial 100% coverage with Inferred CSAT, and talk about how to align entire teams with dynamic dashboards.
And the most important part.
The most important part is showing you how to zero in on the root causes of friction to, dramatically speed up your product roadmap decisions.
Okay, let's unpack the strategic grounding for this first. We can't just jump into the tool. We have to talk about the business foundation. So how does VOCI AI integrate effectively into the larger world of customer experience management, or CXM?
CXM absolutely must be the foundation. It just has to be. If you just collect data and, drop it in a report, you haven't actually improved anything.
You haven't done anything, right?
Nothing. The goal is to center all of your work on the customer journey, turning those valuable one-off customer notes and complaints into repeatable structural improvements. When you anchor it in CXM, the insights automatically lead to fixes.
So we need a strategic framework in place first. What are the core components that have to be sorted out before a company even thinks about plugging in this kind of advanced AI?
It really starts with meticulous journey mapping.
Okay.
You have to clearly identify the moments that matter most: the purchase flow, onboarding, that moment of cancellation, and the common pain points, especially those handoffs between, say, a self-service portal and the contact center.
That makes a lot of sense. And after that?
Then you build robust feedback loops at every single one of those touch points.
Yeah.
You need to measure both what customers do and why they feel the way they do about it.
And speaking of measuring things, the sources make this really critical distinction that teams have to align on right away. What's the fundamental difference between customer insights and customer sentiment?
That alignment is so crucial. Customer insights capture the underlying behavior, the needs, the drivers, the what and why they act.
The facts.
The facts. Whereas customer sentiment measures how customers react to those moments. It's the feeling, delight, anger, frustration.
And you need both.
You absolutely need both, but you can't let sentiment be the only thing driving a huge product decision. You need the insight behind the feeling.
Right, and if you're a global company or you have dozens of channels, that consistency just becomes a nightmare, doesn't it?
It creates analytic chaos if you don't manage it.
Yeah.
Strategic governance means you have to standardize your taxonomies. If the U.S. team calls it a login error and the EU team calls it a sign-in issue, your dashboards just break down.
Got it.
And it ensures that what marketing is promising actually aligns with the product experience. The AI can highlight that gap instantly.
I find that fascinating, the idea of an objective machine pointing out where your marketing doesn't match reality. So let's shift gears and look at the technology that makes measuring everything actually possible.
Right, so here's where we move from the vision to the technical capability. The core is advanced natural language processing, NLP, which has moved light years beyond just basic keyword spotting.
So it's not just looking for the word angry.
Not at all. It evaluates context end to end. It reads the whole chat transcript, the whole email thread to capture the entire narrative.
That's a huge improvement, but how does it handle the subtle human element, the nuance?
That's the key technical upgrade. Modern emotion detection moves past a simple positive-negative classification. The models are trained to classify nuanced states like frustration, disappointment, relief, even confusion.
Which immediately boosts the accuracy, right? Because a customer might use positive words like, it was resolved quickly, but the underlying emotion was total frustration because they were transferred 5 times first.
Precisely. That emotional overlay keeps your dashboards honest. But the single greatest innovation we have to talk about is Inferred CSAT, or ICS. This is the key to 100% coverage. It assigns a 0 to 10 satisfaction score to every single interaction, even when no survey exists.
That capability alone feels like the biggest shift in this space in years. It just eliminates the main weakness of surveys, which, only capture the extremes, the really happy and the really furious.
You miss the whole middle.
But how does the AI actually infer that score, technically?
It uses a complex mix of signals. Conversation length, sentiment scores, agent response speed, how many times the person was transferred,
Okay.
and most importantly, whether the customer had to come back for the same issue.
Mm.
By modeling those against known survey data, it creates a really accurate proxy score for everybody.
So if the AI is covering 100% of interactions from every source, aren't we just creating a new noise problem? How does it make sure we don't get buried in data?
That's where the root cause analysis comes in. The AI analyzes that huge volume of scored interactions and groups the feedback into specific actionable clusters. It can pinpoint, say, that 15% of recent low scores are coming from a broken payment step on mobile checkout.
Right, something super specific.
Exactly, or confusing terms in the refund policy. It makes prioritization practical because you can tie those clusters directly to a product owner and act where the impact is highest.
So what does this all mean for a data collection strategy? If we want this 100% coverage, which channels must a modern VOC program prioritize?
You need total vision. The mandatory channels start with customer support 100% capture of chat, email, and voice. Then you need social media and media monitoring. Tools like BrandWatch or Mention, they act as an early warning system.
And what about user behavior on your own site or in your app?
That's a third mandatory piece. On-site and in-app feedback. And this isn't just about, throwing up NPS surveys. It's using continuous discovery tools like a Content Square or Hotjar.
Oh, the ones that do journey replay.
Exactly. They link what users did with why they did it. Combining that behavioral data with AI sentiment analysis gives you the complete picture.
Okay, now for the professional decision-making part. If you're evaluating a system, you often feel like you have to choose between speed and coverage. Let's look at the market. What are the main categories of tools you'll see?
We see 2 main pathways. First, you have your inbuilt VOC inside support suites. Think Zendesk, Intercom, Crescendo.ai. They focus on rapid time to value and a lower total cost of ownership.
So quick wins.
Quick wins, exactly. Great for mid-market leaders focused on support efficiency. They give you automated iCSAT and tagging right in the contact center.
And the alternative, the bigger, broader solution. I mean, that sounds expensive and slow. Is that high setup cost really justified for most companies?
Well, that's the core trade-offs. The alternative is the enterprise CXM platforms, your Sprinklers, Qualtrics, Medallias. These focus on broad omnichannel coverage, often 30-plus channels, deep research, predictive modeling.
The whole 9 yards.
The whole 9 yards. But yes, the trade-off is higher setup costs and longer implementation times. You buy them when you absolutely need to align dozens of teams across the globe.
Okay, so if our listener is taking one thing into their next vendor meeting, what are the non-negotiable criteria they have to test for?
You have to focus on the system's ability to turn feedback into clear next steps. Number 1 is language processing depth.
Meaning?
You test the NLP with your real transcripts, see how it handles negation, sarcasm, and your own industry jargon.
And what about the sentiment itself, especially now that business is so global?
You have to confirm how the models handle bias reduction across different languages and dialects. A model trained only on Western English might misclassify the sentiment of someone speaking English as a second language.
That's a huge blind spot.
It is. You have to test the iCSAT accuracy and the system's ability to show you the drivers behind low scores.
And the output, the dashboards.
Critical. They have to provide flexible, role-based views. An executive needs to see high-level trends. A product manager needs a list of specific root causes for their feature. And an ops leader needs immediate alerts. And you must be able to drill down from a trend right to the original transcript.
So what's the bottom line here? How do we connect this investment back to a measurable, quantifiable ROI?
VOC AI lets you map those major issue clusters like payment fraud patterns or app bugs directly to the roadmap owner. ROI is then measured in quantifiable savings.
Like what?
You track the impact of the fix on things like fewer repeat contacts and shorter handle times for support. And, critically, you quantify the retention lift by tracking customer cohorts after a fix is implemented. you link improvements directly to revenue.
We've covered the strategy and the tech. Now, for the professional who's ready to go from data to delivery, what's the safest first step for a successful pilot?
Start small. Just start really small. Pick 1 or 2 channels. Chat and email are usually the easiest entry points, and define a very narrow test window.
And a small goal.
A small, clear KPI set, like improving CSAT for one specific product area or reducing resolution time for one type of issue. It validates everything before you try to scale.
And that leads right to the most important part, closing the loop. How do we make sure these insights don't just end up in a dashboard graveyard?
This is where you make closed-loop actioning a mandatory ritual. You route low scores to named owners with clear SLAs and a follow-up playbook. But the most crucial ritual is the cross-functional weekly stand-up.
Between who?
Between support, product, and operations. That meeting is where you translate raw insight like customers hate the new onboarding into a concrete, prioritized backlog item with an owner and a timeline. If you don't commit to that ritual, the data is useless.
Finally, let's talk about ethical governance. These systems handle huge volumes of sensitive data. What are the non-negotiable safeguards a listener has to demand from their vendor?
Governance has to be designed in from the start. You need clear privacy and consent practices. Get consent up front and absolutely mask PII, personally identifiable information, automatically.
Oh, how do social media data?
You have to use authenticated connections that protect individual identities and enforce strict role-based access so only authorized staff can view sensitive records.
That makes the whole system defensible and sustainable. Okay, what's the final provocative thought we should leave our listener with today?
Look, knowledge is most valuable when it's a constant input, not a quarterly audit. The true success metric isn't just a bump in CSAT. It's when customer feedback becomes a standing input to quarterly planning.
So it's not a task, it's a habit.
It becomes a company habit, embedded into every product ritual. When you get that continuous loop, you turn listening at scale into your fastest, most reliable route to growth.
That was a tremendous deep dive. To quickly recap, we discussed how Voci AI uses advanced NLP and that critical feature, iCSAT, to cover 100% of customer interactions, moving you beyond just sentiment to actionable root cause analysis. We also covered how those insights, when driven by closed-loop actioning, directly inform strategic decisions across product and operations, which translates into real, measurable gains.
This shift to a unified data architecture, it really is the foundation for future business efficiency. It's about making the customer's voice the central metric for every decision.
Thank you for tuning in to the Smart Keys podcast.
We encourage you to subscribe to the Smart Keys podcast for more strategic deep dives into the future of work and technology. The full article, Voice of Customer AI, Analyzing Feedback at Scale to Drive Innovation, including specific tool comparisons and detailed evaluation criteria, can be found via the link in the show notes.